Shohei Ohtani gave the Dodgers a chance, but the bullpen and the bats just couldn't hold up their end of the bargain. Momentum swings, the bats go missing, the questions are getting louder for Los Angeles after losing Game 4, and the World Series is tied once again.
You are Locked On Dodgers, your daily Los Angeles Dodgers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
It's time for Locked On Dodgers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Snell versus Yesavage, round 2, and what the numbers say about Game 5 being the true turning point of the series. The bats go silent again, and Dave Roberts hints a lineup change. But first, the World Series is now a best of 3, with the Dodgers and Blue Jays tied 2-2 after Toronto took Game 4, Travis.
Yeah, one of the least exciting, least fun, and least well-played Dodger games we've seen in quite some time. And today's episode of Locked On Dodgers is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you're going to get $300 in bonus bets to use across the FanDuel app. Download the FanDuel app today.
He's Travis Rogers. I'm Harry Ruiz, two guys who talk sports for a living and bleed Dodger Blue for life. You can get more Travis on 710 ESPN LA on your radio or the ESPN LA app on your phone from 3 to 6 p.m. with the Travis and DeMarco Show. As for me, I'm the Spanish play-by-play broadcaster for the USC Football Trojans and the Las Vegas Raiders. But nothing beats jumping on the mic every weekday morning and diving deep into what I love most, which is talking Dodger baseball with you. To everyone who's new here, welcome. We're so glad to have you as part of the Locked On Dodgers family. And to our everydayers, you're the heartbeat of this show. Thank you so much for your support. And thanks to you, we've had the sixth most watched episodes in our channel's history just over the last couple of weeks. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to hit that subscribe button, like our content, and drop a comment. Or better yet, hit us up on our listener line at 2793-LOCKED or 279-356-2533. Leave your name. That's super important, where you're listening from and your take on Dodger baseball. Voicemail or text us to have a shot at getting featured on the show. There's no game today, so on tomorrow's show, we'll have another opportunity to listen to a lot of you or your folks. Sorry, not today, but Thursday there's no game, so Friday we're gonna have a chance to listen to a lot of you folks on our new episode. All right, momentum has officially swung north. The Blue Jays beat the Dodgers 6-2 in Game 4, and now this series is tied 2-2, which means Toronto has home field advantage again. No matter what happens in Game 5, this World Series is heading back to Canada, Travis.
Yeah, the Dodgers really did not play well last night. It's the first time in a while that you've kind of watched them play, and it felt like they were a little listless. It felt like there were some bad at-bats. It felt like there really were some non-competitive moments in that game. Ohtani was not, by Ohtani standards, was not great. He just did not look like the same pitcher that we had seen in earlier rounds of the playoffs. I can't help but imagine that spending 18 innings the night before, standing at first base and running around, didn't have some sort of effect on him. Some really ugly at-bats, especially from Mookie Betts, I thought, from Andy Pajas as well. Just not much positive going on last night. After Kike Hernandez made that catch to start the game and drove in a run in the bottom of the second inning, it was really not much to talk about with the Dodgers. It was just downhill from there. Just a really uninspired performance by LA.
And the Blue Jays did this without George Springer. That's the crazy part. Toronto showed the kind of resilience that championship teams thrive on. And of course, it was just a matter of time for their superstar, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., to finally come through in one of those clutch moments. And he delivered the first gut punch, a 2-run homer off of Shohei Ohtani in the third inning. But here's the thing, Travis. Yes, Ohtani, he wasn't spectacular. He was good. He was really good through 6 innings. In those first 6 innings, he gave up just 4 hits and those 2 runs on that home run while striking out 6. So you tell us before the game, he's going to give you 6 innings, 4 hits, 2 runs. Will you take it? All of us would have raised our hand and be like, yeah, our bullpen needs to be able to go in the earliest, the 7th inning. And that's what happened. The problem is that after the 6th inning, Ohtani told Mark Pryor, I can go 3 more innings. He's that type of competitive player that he wants to be out there. You love that confidence. That's ace mentality. But baseball's a funny game because when it looked like he was rolling, the 7th inning happened right there. First batter, Varsho singles. Next batter, Clement doubles. He gets the hook.
Yeah, to ask the Dodger bullpen to get 9 outs last night felt like a lot, right? Especially considering what they had done the night before, especially considering how few there was no chance you were going to see Klein. There was no chance you're going to see Henriquez. There was no chance you were going to see Sheehan. They had pitched, more than an inning and in a couple of cases more than 2 innings, and there just was not going to be enough bullpen depth to cover it. The guys that were available were guys that I don't think anybody is filled with confidence, whether it's Bonda, whether it's Treinen, Jack Dreyer as well. Just nobody that you're dying to see come out there. Really, that's probably true of most of the Dodger bullpen. But I think that Ohtani was fine by regular human being standards. He just wasn't Shohei Ohtani fine, which is what we've come to expect from him because he's just such a spectacular talent. It just the whole thing was off. Like the energy was off from the jump, and oddly, and maybe it makes sense kind of looking back in retrospect that after that incredibly emotional game 3, that the Dodgers who won it probably felt like they had a little money in the bank. Toronto showed up like, all right, whatever, we lost a baseball game, let's go again. Couldn't be more impressed with those guys. Couldn't be more impressed with the way that they just continue to grind and fight and move forward. I thought the Phillies were going to be the toughest matchup that LA faced in the postseason, and it sure doesn't feel like it. It feels like this Toronto team is just deep and good and relentless, and you got to see it last night. And Dodgers were bad, Toronto was good, and quite frankly, last night was the first time you watched the game and go, yeah, that game felt over the second Shohei left the game, even though it was still 2-1 when he walked off the mound. It felt like, okay, the Dodgers aren't going to score more than a run or 2 more, and Toronto felt like they were on the verge of having a big inning, and they got one.
And you saw Shane Bieber getting out of innings early with no issues, with Dodgers chasing pitches that were out of the zone, going early in the count, even first pitch of an at-bat, just going, swinging, fly out. And it's like, all right, you're giving Bieber, a guy that's coming out of Tommy John surgery, just giving him gas to be able to go further and further, because the bullpen for the Blue Jays isn't great. So if you can get to the bullpen ASAP, that's your best option right there to do damage late in games. And the Dodgers weren't able to do so in yesterday's game, with Bieber extending his outing, looking good. The problem right here also, the bullpen for the Dodgers, Anthony Banda, Blake Treinen, they combined to finish that 7th inning. But before they got those 3 outs, the Blue Jays poured 4 runs on them and slammed the door on the Dodgers. Yes, 2 of those runs were assigned to Shohei Ohtani because he let those 2 runners on. But when the pitchers were on the mound, those 4 runs scored out of the bullpen. Now, here's where I'm getting frustrated, Travis. Blake Treinen has allowed 6 hits to 9 batters he has faced in this World Series. 6 out of 9. I get it. After the 18-inning marathon, the bullpen options were limited. I get it that Blake Treinen has come through for this team before, especially in last year's World Series. But if the game's still within reach, you've got to throw anybody else there. I know that the options were very limited. If the game is within reach, put someone else. Right now, Treinen, mop-up duty only.
Yeah, he's had a rough postseason. You mentioned those numbers, Harry. I'll give you another one. And never mind the World Series. In the postseason, he's faced 24 guys. 12 of them have reached base. So when half of the guys that you're facing are reaching base, that's certainly a horrible ratio. Here's the thing. I'm with you. I think that you got to kind of move on from him, despite the trust factor and the experience and all the things that Dave Roberts continually cites. But buckle up, my friend. Buckle up, Dodger fans. You're going to see him again. I mean, clearly Dave Roberts has decided that this is a guy that he's going to win or lose with. And, it may be we lose with him because he has not been good at all. Like, he's gotten out of some sticky situations, but it's been more because the other team has underperformed than it's been anything that Blake Treinen has done. I want to go back to that inning specifically with Banda and with Treinen. I thought it was a classic example, and this is an old school, baseball phrase that you hear all the time. keep it small, right? Like when the inning is kind of hanging in the balance, can you find a way to keep the inning small? And the Dodgers have been really good at that through most of the postseason of when you get guys on first and third with less than 2 outs, when you have had some situations where there's a runner at third base with less than 2 outs. Can you get off the field? Can you end the inning with only 1 run, or in a perfect world, 0 runs coming across? And that's been something they've been really good at. They could not keep it small last night. Bonda, not able to keep it small, gave up a couple of hits. Treinen comes in, not able to keep it small. He gives up a couple of more hits, and the merry-go-round gets going. It's the exact opposite of what the Dodgers have been able to do against the Blue Jays. The Blue Jays have been really good at keeping it small. The only way the Dodgers score runs is if they hit homers, right? That's basically it. If they hit home runs, they score runs. If they don't, they don't. And that's the definition of keeping it small. Bieber got a bunch of really quick outs, 1-pitch outs in a number of cases. And I think that was the difference last night. The Dodgers couldn't keep it small, and the Jays did a great job of keeping it small all game long.
There were 2 options after game 4, sorry. Either the Dodgers would be 1 game away from winning the World Series, or you had the series deadlock at 2, and we know what the case is. Alex Call, Dodgers outfielder, spoke with the media after the game, and the mindset is still the same. Hey, we're still in it. We still have a shot at winning the Fall Classic. Let's listen to him.
Yeah, I mean, we expected it to be a battle. We've given it our best, and they've come back with the same. So we didn't expect it to be easy, and we're in a good spot. We got 1 more game at home here, and we're going to hopefully go back to Toronto with a 3-2 lead.
There might be people panicking, Travis, after that Dodgers loss. Obviously, that clubhouse isn't one of them. They're focused. It's like, hey, we got to win 1 more here, 1 more in Toronto, or if they lose game 5, which we hope isn't the case, they still have 2 more shots at it over in Toronto. They're a complete club. They're a good team. And we also got to give the Blue Jays all the credit in the world. They executed. But this one hurts because for 6 innings, Ohtani gave LA a real chance. But when this one was still winnable, it slipped away.
Yeah, you got to score. I mean, you can pitch like crazy, but to try to win games 1-0, 2-1, that's a really high bar, especially when your bullpen is let's be unpredictable, right? Let's be a little generous with this. It's an unpredictable bullpen. I don't think anybody in the Dodger clubhouse is worried. I don't think they're panicking. That basically what you're asking is, can you win 2 out of 3? And you're going to throw Snell, Yamamoto, and everything you got at him in these 3 games. Okay. I would take that. I think if you went back to spring training and said, hey, listen, we're going to fast forward to game 5 of the World Series. You got to win 2 out of 3. You got a healthy Blake Snell, a healthy Yamamoto, and a healthy Glasnow, a healthy Ohtani, and who else knows who's going to pitch in game 7 if we get to a game 7. Do you want to take it? I think the answer is yeah. I think everybody would take it. So they're still in a really good spot. They got to get some better at-bats. I think they probably will. One of the things that we've talked a lot about on this podcast, and the everydayers will know this, is every time the Dodgers have to have something, that have to have it moment, like, wait, this is the game that we have to have. They've been really good at winning that game. I think tonight, game 5 is one of those games, and I expect them to be really good.
Speaking of slipping away, let's talk precisely about those bats. Coming up on Locked On Dodgers, once again, the Dodgers lineup went quiet when it mattered most.
This episode of Locked On Dodgers is brought to you by Prize Picks. You and I, well, we make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. So don't miss any of the excitement during this sports season. By the way, everything's going on. So if you're following the NFL, the NBA, or both, or baseball for another day or 2, hockey, of course, no better time to jump in on all the action. And if you haven't tried Prize Picks yet, it is the simplest way to play. Pick more or less on at least 2 player stats. And if you get them right, you're going to win. It takes less than 60 seconds to make your lineup. You can play anywhere Prize Picks operates. That includes California, Texas, Georgia. So Prize Picks is so much fun. You can pick your favorite players, right? Do you like Matthew Stafford? Do you like Luka Doncic? You can see how those guys' numbers are, pick more or less, and you're off and running. Maybe you really, let's say you're Luka crazy. The new Stacks feature is a game changer. You can now pick more on Luka's points, threes, assists, all in the same lineup. Plus, if one of your guys leaves early, An injury reboot saves time from a loss. So download the PrizePicks app today. Use the code LOCKEDONMLB to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONMLB for $50 in lineups after your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks. It is good to be right.
Thanks for making us your first listen wherever you may be tuning in, either on your favorite podcast app or our YouTube channel. Subscribe to it. It's completely free. You can also smash that notification bell so you never miss a beat. Full episodes, hot takes, breaking Dodgers news, and the Dodgers postcast show with Pete Fox live after the final out of every game. If it drops, you're on it. That's how you become an everydayer here on Locked On Dodgers. Silent bats, louder questions. This one's starting to sound like a broken record. The Dodgers bats just couldn't get it done. 6 hits, 2 runs. That's it. It's now the 5th time this postseason they haven't scored more than 3 runs, and the 4th time they've been held to 2 or fewer. 0 for 5 with runners in scoring position. 7 men left on base. This team has a serious issue, Travis Rogers, when it comes to guys swinging the bat and being consistent.
Yeah, it's not even so much me, Harry, the fact that they're not getting a bunch of hits and not driving in a bunch of runs. It's the approach that's really, upsetting to me because – look, you watch what Toronto does, and then you watch what the Dodgers are doing, and Toronto can score runs without hitting homers. Sure, if Guerrero pops one, great. There's a couple quickly. But you saw the way that they produced those other runs, and it was with base hits. It's with getting deep in the counts. It's with forcing pitchers to make multiple high-leverage pitches in a single at-bat. How many times do you see Andy Pajas swing at the first pitch? Look, I'm going to put him in the middle of this. How many times are you watching Mookie Betts swing at the first pitch? It's crazy. And Mookie Betts hasn't hit a ball hard in a long time. Let's see some better at-bats. Let's see a little bit of a better approach. It's this very quick trying to be a hero. I get it that they got a lot of guys in this team that can hit home runs, but these are soft contact, ball in the air, not driving the ball at all, early at-bats where they're getting themselves out, right? Look, Shane Bieber was great last night, just making sure that he would be a little off the plate early in the count. Dodger batters were going after the ball early, and they were hitting the ball in the air all night long. And those, it's the major leagues. Those are easy outs. They're, unless you drive the ball, you're not going to get hits. And there were a bunch of guys swinging early in the count. There was an at-bat where Freddy Freeman comes in, strikes out on 3 pitches. I mean, it was just non-competitive at-bats. These are really good players, really good hitters, but they're in this funk where they're just not approaching the ball or approaching the at-bat in a way that makes a ton of sense to me. And I would like to see a change. I would like to see some guys really start to work and grind some at-bats the way that when the Dodgers are at their very – Max Muncy, late in the game, I know he got a double on the swing that he took. It was the first pitch after a walk, and we're swinging the bat at the first pitch. It just doesn't make a ton of sense to me. The approach seems way off, and I expect it to be better tonight.
Well, after the game, Dave Roberts said something that perked a lot of ears. Let's listen to him.
I think so. I'm going to think long and hard, and it might look a little bit different tomorrow. I've got to make a decision. Essentially, am I going to play Andy? Am I going to play Cole, or am I going to play Miggy Rowe? So just kind of trying to think through all that stuff and net it out and see what gives us the best chance tomorrow.
This lineup might look a little bit different tomorrow. Speaking of Game 5, speaking of today, and that's not nothing. That's a signal because here's the reality. Andy Pajas is now 4 for 50 in the postseason, a .080 batting average. 10 out of 14 playoff game, he hasn't even reached base. He hasn't walked once in the postseason. That's brutal. So what can Dave Roberts do? He brought up the 2 names. Alex Call, Miggy Rowe would be the 2 taking his spot in the lineup. You just got to make shifts on the rest of the field depending on who you want at center field. Kike Hernandez, do you want Tommy Edman out there? Have Alex Call at left field, Miggy Rowe at second base. It just depends on what, but I think it's just time to make a move and find a jolt for this Dodgers lineup because it's been very, very low bar right now.
Yeah, I think that Pajas is the odd man out, obviously. I think that it's got to be Rojas, right? Rojas is a better Let me back up a little bit. When they finally took Pajas out of the game last night and put Call in there, it felt like, okay, give me a quality at bat or two. You don't have to get a bunch of hits, but let me see. Call somehow, some way actually looked worse than Pajas did. It was bizarre, but I'm like that actually I thought looked worse than anything Andy Pajas had put up there. So if you're going to make the change, and I think you probably should at this point, I think it's got to be Rojas. I think you put Rojas at second base. I think you put Edman out in center field, and you just make the switch there. It's pretty clean. It's pretty easy. You don't have to do a whole bunch of stuff. Like Call, I know can run. Call, I know is a decent defensive outfielder along the way, but I want Rojas's experience. I want Rojas's steady hand. I want Rojas's ability to go out there and make a quality at bat. I know that Miggy Rowe's not going to hit, 3 doubles in a game. If he does, great, certainly take it. But I want him to be able to handle the bat. I want him to make some productive outs. We saw it again last night. The Blue Jays scored runs while making outs. The Dodgers just simply cannot figure that part out. They're a feast or famine team. And I think Rojas knows he's not a feast type of hitter. So I think they'll be able to produce some more quality at bats. I would go Rojas in that spot.
While doing my research for today's show last night, I was going through the numbers for the Dodgers in this postseason, and I was shocked to see who is the Dodgers batting average leader in the postseason. Alex Call. Who's the OBP leader for the Dodgers in the postseason? Alex Call. The situation here is he hasn't gotten a hit since the NLDS against the Phillies. He has most of his hits have been before that. He has 1 hit between the 3 games he has played from the NLCS and the World Series, and only 1 time has he gotten on base between the 6 at-bats that he has had between these games. So the eye test, that one is clearly more important right now, what we saw from him in game number 4 of the World Series, than just looking at the numbers and letting numbers play on the field.
I think when, just kind of to put it into like a moment, when Rojas got put in the game in game 3 and everybody in the stadium knew he's going to bunt, he gets a 90-something mile-an-hour fastball up by his throat, and he still gets the ball down. He still put like, this is what
a runner at third
is going to bring to your team. He's going to bring a steady hand. He's going to bring a professional approach, and he's going to bring a ton of experience to the spot. So I think that like Call's fine. And if it's Call, fine. I think you do have to make a change. I think Pajas is the third option among those guys for sure, but it's not just fix that and everything else. Max Muncy needs to be a little bit better. Mookie Betts, I keep coming back to him. Mookie's been, he looks like the Mookie Betts from the first 2/3 of the season, where even when he's putting his bat on the ball, it's not hard contact. He finally got a hit later last night, which was a little better, but he's hacking early in counts, which I don't understand. He's not making productive outs, and he's not hitting the ball hard. So, Mookie Betts isn't terribly valuable if he's an all-glove, no-bat shortstop. That doesn't really, help your team a whole heck of a lot. He needs to be Mookie Betts, and he needs to be Mookie Betts in a hurry because we're running out of games.
Let me throw this one out there because I've seen it a lot in the comment section over on our YouTube channel. Hassan Kim. He's only played once this postseason, game 4 of the NLDS, but he brings athleticism, energy, speed, contact. He could spark something. And you spoke about bunting. This guy, if he bunts, he's not just sacrificing. It's a really good shot that he makes it to first on time. Right now, just something's got to change, Travis, in that lineup.
Yeah, I don't hate the idea of Kim. I think I would still go with Rojas in that spot because of the experience plus all the things we talked about. But if Kim found his way into the game, I wouldn't hate it. There's something going on there, Harry, because the fact that Hassan Kim played quite a bit for the Dodgers during the regular season, like he was a regular part of what they did. They haven't let him near the field in the postseason, which leads me to believe that maybe they're seeing something and they're feeling something that maybe you and I aren't privy to, because a guy that played as often as Kim did, basically getting no action in the postseason that's a bit of a tell. They're telling on themselves a little bit.
But they're still keeping him on the roster, though. Yeah. So there's a reason for that, too. But look, right now we're speaking about the bats. This offense, as talented as it is, it just looks stuck. They're swinging for moments that aren't coming, and if they don't figure it out fast, this series might slip away before they even realize it. Coming up next, Game 5. Blake Snell gets a chance at redemption. Trey Yesavage looks to prove Game 1 was no fluke. Next on Locked On Dodgers, we'll break down why Game 5 historically decides everything and why, in my opinion, this is a must-win for LA.
The NBA is back, sure is. And there is no better place to get in on all of that NBA action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. So let's say you're coming home from work and you forget, oh my gosh, the game's already started. You missed the start of the game, but you still want to get in, or you're watching the game, you didn't see anything you like, but now all of a sudden you want to ride that hot hand. FanDuel has live bets on everything from who's going to score the next bucket to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can combine your live bets into a same game parlay, and we all know what that means, a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, even a game maybe you missed the start of or you didn't get down to start the game, especially when your team is making that late push. So here's what you do. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So you head to FanDuel.com, you sign up, and you play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA.
Don't forget to follow Locked On Dodgers not only on YouTube, but on X, Instagram, and TikTok as well. You can find Travis on social media at Travis Rogers on X and Instagram. Meanwhile, I'm at Harry Ruiz on X, at Harry_Ruiz on Instagram, and at Harry Ruiz_ on TikTok. Blake Snell, Trey Yesavage, round 2. This is the one. This is the swing game. When a best-of-7 series is tied 2-2, the winner of Game 5 has gone on to win the series 46 of 68 times. That's nearly 68% of the time. So, yeah, it's huge, Travis.
It's a huge game. Like you just put the numbers out there, Harry. You get a huge advantage. Now you just got to find a way to win one of two. But I will say this, that whoever wins tonight, let me put it a different way. Whoever loses tonight, I don't think they're out of it, regardless of who it is. If Toronto loses tonight and they're going home for 2, I bet they feel at least like they got a fighting chance. I know Yamamoto's waiting for you in Game 6, which is terrifying, but they're going home, and they've been remarkably resilient. So I don't think that they're going to roll over. I think the same is true for the Dodgers. Even if the Dodgers lose tonight, I don't think there's a team, a ballpark, and anything anywhere that they don't feel like they can go into and win 2 games in a row. This is one of the best teams ever put together. I think that they know it. I think that they have the pitching to go in, their starting pitching at least, to go in and win any games. But yeah, it's a huge game tonight. I expect Snell to be terrific. I expect him to be much better than he was in Game 1. I think that being at home will help him, and I expect really big things from him because he is just a relentless competitor. I wouldn't be surprised at all if he pitched into the 8th inning or beyond. I think that it is a huge opportunity for him to do what he was unable to do in Game 1, and that's put the team on his back and pitch them to a win.
Yeah, and Blake Snell, I mean, it's a redemption opportunity for him. His Game 1 was subpar for his own standard, and he knows it. He's been nails all postseason, but command wavered in Toronto. Expect him to make adjustments. He's too experienced not to, Travis.
Yeah, I mean, he's as good as you're going to find. Like, this is, if you could go across baseball and say, I need a guy for tonight, and he's red, Blake Snell would be a great choice. I actually kind of like it, Harry, the fact that he was less than his best self in Game 1, because he's one of those guys that I always expect to bounce back in a big moment, and especially coming off the heels where what would we give him in his first game? Maybe a B or a B minus. It just wasn't bad, but it was not premier Blake Snell. I expect premier Snell tonight.
It's a similar situation to Shohei Ohtani, where through 6 innings, he was good. For Blake Snell, once he got into that 6th inning over in Toronto in Game 1, then it went downhill. It was like a good, solid outing that you'll take anytime, but then there comes that 1 inning where everything unravels and your bullpen can't support you and you take the loss. So for Blake Snell now, it's his second chance of seeing this Blue Jays lineup in less than a week. He was asked about it in his media availability before Game 4, and this is what Blake Snell had to say about going against these same guys again.
I like it. I think It doesn't matter, good or bad start, the first game, it doesn't matter because the second game, I always feel, is going to be better because they always say it's advantage hitter because they've seen you, but I think it's advantage pitcher because you've pitched against them, you know what they can do. It's fresh in your head, you have an idea. And yeah, like I just pitched against them and didn't execute, and now I have an opportunity to go execute and see how good I am and how much, those 5 days in between got me locked in to be, the best version of me. So I like it a lot. And I'm going to pitch the same to some guys, different to some guys. Like you're going to go through that battle. But I like it because, there's a comfort to it. Like you've already faced them, you know what they can do. Now you just got to execute.
In that same press conference, Travis, he was asked, what are you going to do different? He's like, I'm not going to tell you guys because then the Blue Jays will hear also what it is. But you are, as a former college pitcher, Travis, what can you tell me about going against the team twice in a week and how Blake Snell sounds very, very confident about him being able to get everything back on track?
Yeah, I mean, it's a little hard for me to put myself in Snell's head because the stuff that he has is stuff that was never available to somebody like me.
You wouldn't be doing this podcast if you had that kind of stuff, right?
Exactly. I was more of a hope they hit it hard at somebody and get somebody out more than try to miss a bunch of bats. But I think what he's getting at is I know where the trouble is. I know where the misses can be as opposed to where the mistakes can't be, right? Like going at a guy that has hit you hard before, I do think is educational because it's like whatever he hit or wherever he hit that pitch or whatever the sequencing was, to try to mix it up a little bit right there. I think that this is not going to be a Blake Snell game in the sense that I think he's going to be fine. I think this is going to be much more about the offense, and I think this is going to be much more about how many outs they need to cover if Blake Snell does not, pitch into the 8th or 9th inning. Is it just a full rookie experience after that to try to get it done, knowing you have an off day? I think Snell will be somewhere between very good to excellent. The question is can you get to the finish line if he's not the guy that gets you there? And I don't think he'll go 9 innings. And if it's not Roki, then who is it? But, if they don't score, none of this really matters at all. And if they just, they're so home run dependent, I think this comes down to offensive production and bullpen. Snell feels to me like a sure thing. Snell feels to me like you're going to get a rock solid performance from Blake Snell. It's what does everybody else do? And I think the Dodgers do have a little advantage on Yesavage because unlike Snell, he's still very green. He's still very new. This is a new experience for him. So I think the Dodgers have some opportunities there.
Yeah, and Blake Snell, before that outing in the World Series, he had been solid as heck. You had Yoshi. He had one bad outing in the NLDS Game 3 against the Phillies, but then you still trust him. It's like Game 2 of the World Series, like, hey, we still got Yoshi. Right here, it's the same case. Blake Snell just had his first bad outing of the postseason. You still trust him to go out there and get you the result that you need. You already mentioned on the other side, you've got rookie Trey Yesavage. He didn't have his best stuff in Game 1 either, but the kid's shown poise beyond his years all October. He's not gonna back down, and it's an intriguing matchup to see. Okay, you saw how he performed with the crowd in his favor in Toronto. Now he's gonna have everybody against him at Dodger Stadium, or the great majority of those fans at Chavez Ravine are gonna be against him and putting the pressure on him. How will he respond?
I think he'll respond well. I think this is more of what the Dodgers do to him than what he does to himself. Anybody that started the season in A-ball like Trey Yesavage, and you're taking the ball in games against the Yankees and the Dodgers in the postseason and showing up with your shoulders back, I don't think is gonna be intimidated by ballpark or anything else. He's got really good stuff and he feels really good about it. I think it's going to have a lot more to do with what sort of approach the Dodgers have against him. I don't think he's going to load the gun against himself. I don't think he's going to walk a bunch of guys. I think the Dodgers are going to have to hit. I think they're going to have to be patient. I think they're going to have to make productive outs. And if they can do that, if they got guys on base all game against him, like my friend Keyshawn says all the time, pressure will bust a pipe. I don't care who you are. If you're constantly under pressure, you're going to break at some point. And the Dodgers last night, they didn't put pressure on anybody all night long, and you saw what it looked like.
And here's pressure that you want to put on Yesavage. He's had 7 outings in his Major League Baseball career. In only 2 of them has the opposing team scored more than 3 runs against them.
Yeah.
Both times he only lasted 4 innings in those games. If you're able to get to him early, that's the recipe for success. Get to the bullpen and make them handle more than half of the innings in a game, and you'll be able to get good results in this case. And Yesavage, we've mentioned it. He's a good player. He's shocked everybody out of the water just being able to come in the postseason. 4 of his 7 starts as a Major League Baseball player have come in the playoffs. That's nuts. Only 3 regular season starts, now 4 in the playoffs, and he's going to have his 2nd World Series start today, October 29th. By the way, my sister's birthday. Congratulations to her. But this right here is where championships teams respond. We need them to get a win in Game 5, Travis. I know it's not must win because technically they can still lose in Game 5 and they are still alive, but this is the closest to must win as there is to must win. I don't want to go to Canada, or I don't want the Dodgers to go to Canada needing to win 2 to win the World Series. They have 3 games at home. You got to win at least 2 and then put yourself in a position where it's like, okay, get 1 out of 2 in Canada and we're set.
Yeah, I think they're in a fine spot. You know, much better had they won last night, but it's the World Series, man. It's never easy. You know, these games are always hard. Go back to just, 24 hours ago, we're sitting here talking about one of the great Dodger victories in postseason history, and everybody's got good vibes and good feelings. This stuff changes quickly. It goes from good to bad. It can go from bad to good just as quickly. Blake Snell on the mound tonight. Better approach on the mound tonight, and I think everything is pretty good, and it'll break the Dodgers' way. But like I said a minute ago, even if it doesn't go the Dodgers' way, I don't think they're cooked. I think that this is a team that can go into anywhere at any time and win a couple of ball games. Better to win tonight. Don't get me wrong. Better to win tonight. But I don't think – I think this game is more important for Toronto than I necessarily think it's for LA. But who cares about the Blue Jays? Let's go get it for the Dodgers.
Yeah, you're at home with your ace in a must-have game before flying back to Toronto. Game 5 isn't just another game. It's a statement opportunity for our boys in blue. All right, that'll do it for today's episode of Locked On Dodgers. The World Series is tied 2-2. All eyes are on Game 5. Can the Dodgers rediscover their offense? Can Blake Snell deliver a true ace performance? We'll talk about it tomorrow, Thursday. So make sure to subscribe to Locked On Dodgers wherever you get your podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, Apple, any other apps. If you're still craving more baseball talk, have the all-new Locked On MLB Game Night be your second listen. Every game, every night until a World Series champion is crowned. Get local analysis on a national scale. Find it on Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast. Travis, thank you so much, man. I mean, I ain't gonna lie, I'm a little bit nervous for Game 5.
That's what makes it fun, right? If this was the middle of July and they were playing the Blue Jays, you'd be like, all right, whatever. But this is the World Series. It's Game 5 of the World Series. You're supposed to be nervous, Harry.
Hopefully by the end of Game 5, I'm not. We appreciate you riding with us. Until next time, keep it real. Keep it Dodger Blue.